Hello, my name's Julie Lee and I'm a counsellor and EMDR therapist. I work both in the NHS and in private practice, working with people with a variety of issues but specialising in supporting those people who find themselves struggling in the perinatal period. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about antenatal anxiety, which is a symptom that is very common and something that I come across a lot. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about what antenatal anxiety is and a little bit about what you can do to support yourself at those times. Antenatal anxiety during pregnancy is common. It can affect either parent, so we're not just thinking about the person that's pregnant. If you have antenatal anxiety, you might feel very anxious about a variety of things. It might be about your baby's welfare. You might seek frequent reassurance that you're healthy, that they are healthy, and the baby is developing normally. You might have antenatal anxiety for other reasons. It might be that you've experienced previous losses, or it might be that you've had a previous challenging or traumatic pregnancy or delivery. You might have heard lots of scary birth stories from friends or from family members, or you might have heard that your own birth was difficult for your own mother. This can all lead to anxiety about your pregnancy, your upcoming birth, and in extreme cases this is called tocophobia. Tocophobia is an extreme fear of childbirth. Seeking professional help early when you first notice symptoms of anxiety will allow you to get the support you need before your baby arrives. If you suffer from anxiety, then there is support available. You can speak with your GP or your midwife, or you could speak to a counsellor like me who has experience in working with women and families in the perinatal period. So, what is antenatal anxiety? How do you know if this is what you're experiencing? Well, the first thing I want to say is that it's natural to feel a little bit anxious when you're pregnant. But for some people, anxiety can become a real problem. It's a good idea to know what the signs might be for you, and they're often different for everybody, but there are some common ones. So understanding those signs and knowing what they are can help you to ask for support quickly. Some pregnant women and birthing people feel upset or guilty about feeling anxious when they think they should be happy. We pick up all sorts of societal messages, don't we, about how we should feel when we're pregnant, such as women bloom during pregnancy, or your body just knows what to do, or it's very exciting to be expecting. But this is not the case for everyone, so try not to buy into these myths and old wives' tales that you might hear from other people. You feel how you feel, and it's valid. Anxiety is more than feeling worried though. It happens when feelings of worry and stress, they seem to come on for no particular reason, or they might keep coming back and you don't feel like you can control them easily. If left untreated, anxiety can have a major impact on your well-being. Now, anxiety is a common mental health problem, but it's even more common during pregnancy. But despite this, many people assume that their symptoms are a normal part of pregnancy, and that can hold them back from seeking help. So, what might cause anxiety? Well, during pregnancy, your brain's going through lots of changes to help you get ready to be a parent, and this can cause increased levels of anxiety. It can come from feeling unsure or uncertain about what's going to happen, about the feeling that you want to protect your baby and protect yourself. Many people can also feel anxious about giving birth, so the actual birth experience. anyone can develop anxiety. If you've had anxiety in the past, you have a greater risk of developing antenatal anxiety, although don't think that this is a given, you might not. However, if you already have an anxiety disorder or have struggled with anxiety previously, it's really important to seek treatment early in your pregnancy so that you and your baby can receive the right support. So let's talk about symptoms of anxiety. So you might have antenatal anxiety if you're expecting a baby and you feel worried, stressed or on edge a lot of the time. Or if you have fears that take you to overthinking or catastrophizing. You might have anxiety if you notice you're having panic attacks, or if you have tense muscles when you're doing daily tasks. You might notice that you have trouble sleeping because your thoughts or feelings are running away and just feel a bit big and overwhelming. So if we think about these types of symptoms, it's really important for you to start to notice sensations in your body so you can identify what's going on. These types of symptoms can develop gradually, or they may come on suddenly or very intensely. They can get worse over time if they're not treated. So again, I want to reiterate the importance of reaching out and speaking to someone that you trust. Don't forget though, some anxiety about the unknown is normal. Just because you sometimes feel anxious about your upcoming new arrival, that doesn't mean that your anxiety is problematic. So getting involved with services that are offered, speaking regularly to your midwife, your GP, those around you, those professionals involved in your care about how you're feeling can be really helpful. One of the symptoms of anxiety might be panic attacks, and I think it's worth talking about these separately. You may or may not have experienced panic attacks before, but if you haven't, remember that panic attacks can come on really quickly and for no clear reason. I'll run through a few of the symptoms of panic attacks so that you're more easily able to identify if that's what's happening for you. So symptoms of panic attacks can include a racing heartbeat. They can include a feeling of dread or a fear of dying. They can bring on chest pain or shortness of breath. You might feel dizzy or hot or sweaty. You might feel faint. You might be shaky. Your limbs might start to shake. And in some cases, alongside that shaky limbs, you might notice kind of tingling in your fingers, or you might experience kind of churning in your stomach. When we're thinking about panic attacks and how long they last, they usually last between 5 and 20 minutes. However, sometimes they can last for up to an hour. They can feel really scary, but it's important to remember that panic attacks will not actually cause you any harm. It's the fear and the feelings that they bring up that are difficult and uncomfortable. Anxiety is mainly caused by our thought processes, and that's either conscious or unconscious. Our feelings are directly linked to our thoughts, and these thinking patterns might be obvious, like catastrophic thinking that I mentioned earlier. For example, I won't be able to cope with the birth, or what happens if something goes wrong? What happens if something happens to me or my baby? Whereas others might be unconscious thoughts or triggers that are not quite as obvious. Whichever it is, your body will be responding to the perception of threat in relation to these thoughts rather than any real threat in the present. So this is where you can put some strategies in place to de-escalate it. If your brain is perceiving a threat, it's likely to go into that fight or flight mode. So let's have a think and a talk about what we can do to try and bring that down somewhat. So, strategies. I often talk to people about building an internal police officer. Now, I know that sounds a bit mad, but we need to evidence to our brain that there's no current threat right now, here in the present. What we are reacting to is a perception of threat very often, rather than a real threat in the here and now. We never know what's going to happen in the future, so we have to base our thinking on what we know, so the facts. And the fact is that whatever you might be thinking about or worrying about, the what ifs, etc., whatever it is you're telling yourself, it's not actually happening right now at this minute. So try to notice when your mind has wandered off down one of those rabbit holes, or if you're having catastrophic thoughts. When you notice this, bring your mind back to the here and now. It's a bit like gym for the brain. You notice your mind wandering off and you bring it back. You're building the muscle in your brain to be more present. Now, I know that sounds easy in theory, and that in reality it's really hard in practice, but it works. And it needs to be a life practice rather than a quick fix. So imagine I wanted to get a super fit body for the summer, for example, but I only went to the gym twice before saying, oh, that was no good, it didn't work. What would people be thinking? They'd probably be thinking I was a bit mad, right? That I need to go to the gym regularly over a sustained period of time to get the results. The same applies to being present or being mindful. We need to keep at it. In the same way, if I did go regularly to the gym and I got the body I wanted, but then stopped for 6 months, what would happen? You've got it. I'd lose the muscle and the definition, and so I'd be back to square one. With this in mind, it's really helpful to build mindfulness and being present into your daily activity. You don't need extra time. You just need to focus on the job in hand, whatever it is you're doing right now. You can wash the dishes mindfully, for example. How heavy is that pan? How hot is the water? What do the bubbles smell like? What does the plate sound like when you put it on the draining board? You use all of your senses to focus on the here and now, the job in hand. Not only does it help you to be more present, but it helps you to really enjoy the things you're doing, and to be more focused. So choose an activity that you do within your daily practice. For example, having a shower. So what do your feet feel like standing in the shower tray? How hot is the water? What does the shower gel smell like? What does the sponge feel like on your skin? What do your fingers feel like touching your scalp when you're washing your hair? How often do you actually notice how it feels to have a nice relaxing shower? How often have you got multiple tabs open where you're thinking about, does the car need taxing, or what do I need from Tesco? Practicing mindfulness helps you to really get enjoyment out of what you're actually doing, and to bring your focus to the present and close some of those other distractions down that you might have going on. You know, we're all busy. It's a really fast world nowadays. Whilst you're focusing on the task in hand, using all of your senses, you're unconsciously closing down all of those other tabs that are open in your brain. And let's think about what happens to your mobile phone when you've got 27 internet tabs open. It's slow, right? So practice closing some of your tabs down. But also remember that your mind will wander off again. That's its job. We can't completely stop it. But what we can do is take some control with focusing on the present. Before I finish talking to you today, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about a kit, a calm kit that you can think about maybe putting together for yourself to help you at times of panic or high anxiety. what we're trying to do here, just building on what I've talked about today, is give you a toolkit to be able to bring your attention back to the present. You're interrupting some of those intrusive thoughts, the what ifs, etc., and bringing your focus back to the here and now. So I have a little kit here I call my Calm Kit. There's lots of things in it, and it's really based around using all of your senses to help you bring your mind back. So we think I have, for example, I have here a pine cone, so we can bring that into our attention. We can notice how it feels in our hands. Does it smell of anything? We're really paying close attention, using our sight. What does it look like? You know, I'm noticing that all of the little different aspects of it are all different sizes. Some are long, some are short. There's different colours on it. So we're really kind of focusing on using all our senses. I have in here some chest rub, which we can use to bring our smell back to the present. You might want to have some essential oils in there, or some potpourri or perfume, something that you like the smell of. Let's think about taste. So I have some mints here, so you might want to pop a mint in. You're focusing on what does the mint feel like in your mouth, what does it smell like, what does it taste like. You're focusing all your attention on that mint. I have a beanbag in here, so again we've got sound. So what does it sound like, what does it feel like? You can throw it from hand to hand, so you can notice what that feels like, sounds like in different ways. I have in here some hot chocolate, so we're thinking about taste. You might want to make yourself a nice hot chocolate drink, or cappuccino, or flavoured tea, whatever it is that takes your fancy. I've got some pebbles in here, so again this one's really interesting, so you can focus on the different shapes. You can notice how it's smooth in parts and rough in others. How heavy is it? How cold is it? It's really actually quite cold on your skin. So again, you're focusing in on that. Thinking about sound and using your hearing. I don't expect you to have any of these, but you could use anything. We're thinking about sound, so we've got some little bells that we can focus our hearing on. So we're noticing what that's like. I have for touch some hand cream, really nice to be able to put some hand cream on and notice what it feels like as you're putting it on. What does it smell like? What do your fingers feel like as they're touching all the different areas of your hand? Just sending your attention, your focus to what that feels like to be rubbing it in. I've also got in here some positive mantras which can be helpful. So I can ask for what I need, for example. This will pass, that's quite a useful one. I can choose to ground myself, which is what we're doing now. Another useful one, feelings change. No matter how awful you might be feeling in 1 second, we do know that that will not last and it will change. What am I thinking? I feel what I focus on. And this links into what I said earlier about our feelings are directly linked to our thoughts. I can do hard things. Even if things feel hard, we're really resilient, really, as humans, and we really can take care of ourselves with the right toolkit. You might want to have some photographs to look at, things that you enjoy, friends, family, etc. Some little photographs of the people that you care about or who are important to you. Or you might have your favourite holiday, something that brings a really positive vibe for you. The last thing I'm going to talk to you about that I've got in my Calm Kit is bubbles. So bubbles are not just for kids. So I'm sure you've probably heard people talk about in the past, particularly when people are panicking, about regulating your breathing, about a nice deep breath in and a deep breath out. That can be really difficult, and it can feel a bit patronising when people are asking you to do that when you're struggling. Bubbles are a really nice way of regulating your breathing without that kind of focus on breathing in, breathing out. So if I was to say to you that we're going to blow either as many bubbles as we can or the biggest bubble, what do we need? We need a nice, slow, steady breath. So I'm going to give this a go. And we watch them. You know, when you've blown bubbles before, how often do you actually stop, watch them and listen to them? They're beautiful. They look beautiful and they sound beautiful as they're popping. So let's do it again. So we're going to watch and we're going to listen. And if you've already got other children, it's really helpful, a really helpful way of regulating their emotions too. So you can do this together, you can practice with them, you can encourage them to do it. I used to use the big version, but often clients would say to me, well, I can't really carry that around, can I? Which is why I got the party bag version, because you can fit these in your pocket, you can have them in the car, you can fit them in your handbag, so you can take them around with you. And you can excuse yourself, you know, if you're feeling that you need to de-escalate, to ground yourself, if you're noticing that you're panicking or your thoughts are running away, if you're in a social environment, buy yourself time, take yourself off to the loo. There's always a way you can kind of get yourself out of that situation. Go to the car, blow some bubbles. Go out the back where nobody's watching, blow some bubbles. Take yourself to the loo, blow some bubbles. It's a really nice way of grounding yourself and bringing yourself back down with something quite pleasant. So that's about it from me today. I hope this video has been helpful in supporting you to understand what antenatal anxiety is, why we have it, and ultimately a few strategies of how you can support yourself at those difficult times. If you want to get in touch with any other support or information, you can visit my website, which is www.julieleetherapy.org, or you can email me at info@julieleetherapy.org. I hope you've enjoyed watching today. Thanks for listening.